all gut disease, whether it's IBS, Crohn's, colitis, leaky gut, SIBO, or candida, starts after a traumatic event. Now, if you're more bloated or constipated, it's something you had this attitude of something I want to hold on to and digest more. Where if you're more on the diarrhea side, it's what is crap I want to get rid of, but I can't. Now, I'm going to share with you a bunch of the conflict shocks that I have heard, while working with people and my own. So for me, my gut issues started in middle school. I probably had it before that, but I remember specifically like that's when I really started to look like really skinny and I just had to go to the bathroom all the time. And I remember it was like our first summer in a new neighborhood. We were in my family was in the military and we moved around a lot. And my brother jumped off the roof of the house to impress a girl and he broke his arm, and me and my brothers were all punished by having the Nintendo 64. It had just come out, taken away from us for the whole summer. And we were really devastated by that. So down in the comments, I want you to write what you think your traumatic event was. Now, somebody might say that conflict was, oh, my parents were always taking away my video games. But I want you to be very specific of the traumatic event that made it a real problem. The traumatic event that made it a real problem, I saw my brother jump off the roof of the house. That really wasn't the traumatic event because he looked okay when he hit the ground. It wasn't until later when we confirmed that his arm was broken, and then my dad came running around the corner, with like a beet red face and, giving us the verdict. That was literally the traumatic event when, he was yelling at us and said, no more Nintendo for the summer. One person I worked with, he was forced to join the military because that's just what you do in the country that you live. You serve for 2 years. And it wasn't until he had made big plans with his wife to go visit, go home for Valentine's Day or something like that. And then someone in his company did something wrong, and his whole troop was punished, and he wasn't allowed to go home for the weekend and do these big plans with his wife that he had planned. That was the traumatic event that put his gut into overdrive. And a bunch of PTSD triggers stemmed from that event. Another person, so please guys, please go share what you think your traumatic event that put your gut into overdrive might have been. Even if you're not sure, like what was really stressing you out at the time your symptoms started. Like this is part of the therapy, is bringing this traumatic event to consciousness and then showing our mind that we no longer need to put our gut in and out of overdrive to respond to this thing, because in a way we've already resolved it. It's our subconscious that's haunted by it. Somebody else was they were woken up in the middle of the night to a phone call or something like that, and the person was yelling and screaming at them like, I can't believe you said this about me, and da 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 da. And this person was like, that was not me. I did not say that. That's not my Instagram account. I didn't say that. And it, like, the whole school turned against them, and this person's reputation was greatly tarnished, and that was when their gut issues started. Somebody else's symptoms started when this person was a professional athlete and they hurt their leg, and they were usually always getting hurt, but one time it was really bad, and when he woke up after the surgery, the doctor said, hey, like your sports career is over. And that was the traumatic event. And there was also this flavor of the traumatic event that their parents were there with them, and the parents really didn't seem to care. There was also another person that was related to football, um, where they were all lined up to play college football and all this stuff, and do great things. And then, like, literally the first game of their senior year, when the scouts are looking to see who they're going to recruit, um, he broke his arm. He shattered his arm, and he wasn't able to play anymore. And this person also suffered many other traumatic events in business as well, like partners leaving, stealing their money, and things like that. I've also seen people develop after a bad business deal, like a bad real estate deal, getting fired, getting into a big fight with their father, getting into a big fight with their boss, going through breakups, their parents going through divorce. And kind of what I described there were a lot of conflicts, but not the conflict shock. We want to be specific. So if your symptoms started when your parents started to get a divorce when you were as a kid, was it when you saw your mom throw a plate at your dad's head? Was it when your parents sat you down and said, hey, we're breaking up? Being sat down at the sofa or being sat down at the table, or now it's like every time I sit down at a sofa, I get horrible symptoms and I don't know why. Because it's a dangerous place. It's like a dark alley you got mugged in. And your subconscious mind goes into this hyper awareness is because like the couch is a dangerous place because I got the worst information of my life while I was on the sofa. So this is where, this is what I take people through in my 13-day protocol. I help them build this awareness because we need to take our PTSD triggers, our subconscious PTSD triggers, which are triggering our symptoms now. We need to find them, recognize them, become aware of them, and see how they relate not to just the conflict, but the conflict shock moment, the moment, the very moment in time where it impacted our brain. And Dr. Hammer saw those impacts in our brain in a very specific location depending on, he could look at your brain CT scans and know exactly what health condition you had. He mapped out every single disease. And I've found, the best way for people to deal with their gut symptoms is to become conscious of these PTSD triggers. They're super subconscious. And become conscious of that traumatic event. And if somebody still has symptoms over that, they usually haven't identified them correctly, but then there's a small chance that they still need to develop some skills to help make this not an issue, a conflict in their life anymore. For example, like let's say you don't like dogs. Well, there's a very specific, I used to love dogs. I used to be the biggest dog person there was. And then I moved to Ukraine and I lived in a village and all the dogs would bark all night long. A year of that and now I do not like dogs at all. I see a cute dog now that looks so pretty and it's so playful and I go, you're not tricking me. You're nothing but work and you're just going to bark all night long. And I know that's exaggerated, but my attitude towards dogs didn't change until I experienced that one night where I just, spent my life savings on a house and I couldn't enjoy it. And I could not sleep that night because all I heard was rip, 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 rip all night long. So dig deep into your brain. I'm commanding your brain right now to cough up this traumatic memory that put your gut into overdrive. And I have a free version of my 13-day protocol. It's my webinar, which will help you make this realization. So you should go check it out now. It's in the bio link.